Hello, my name is Matthew, and I just read The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle by Sir Conan Arthur Doyle. This is a part of my book club and read along series of with Steve Donahue, reading all of the Sherlock Holmes short stories in the month of March, reading murder mysteries in mammoth quantities. And I just read The Blue Carbuncle, and I loved it. I didn't remember this one at all. It's one of the more madcap, zany. It's one of the zaniest, most outrageous premises and story. It's so. It's also imaginative. It feels like a situational comedy. The the decisions that these characters are making in this story, and the decision that Sir Conan Arthur Doyle made, and how much he focuses on certain aspects of this story. And it begins with Watson going into the apartment in Baker Street, and there's Sherlock, and he has two items. There's an old battered felt hat. It sounds like a bowler hat. And there's a magnifying glass, other tools that a detective would use. And we get this long piece, again, with Sherlock and Watson having their chemistry, but we have this long piece of Sherlock philosophizing about the differences between seeing and observing, and realizing the things that are right in front of you, and having the strength of conviction to be imaginative in drawing out conclusions. It begins with Sherlock saying, "Tell me about the hat, and tell me about the man who would wear this hat." And Watson picks it up. It's old, it's battered, it's lined, it's has stains that have been covered up with ink. And Watson puts it down and says, "There's nothing to describe from this hat." And Sherlock is shaking his head. You disappoint me, Watson. Then goes on with it was a man that was very well to do, and now he's in hard times. He's married, but his wife doesn't love him anymore, and he recently shaved, and he uses this certain kind of shaving cream. And Watson, of course, this always happens where characters will listen to this and then go, "Oh, okay, you figure this stuff out all the time, but this one, you've gone too far. How could you possibly know anything with this hat?" But he's Sherlock Holmes, and everyone sees that he's always figuring all this stuff out. But I do love the feigned surprise. There was another element, another principal object in this story, which is a goose. This is a Christmas time story, and we learned that there was a man on the street wearing a hat, carrying a goose. He gets accosted. He tries to whack someone with a stick. The hatted goosed man inadvertently breaks a window, loses his hat, drops the goose, has got the attention of police officers, and just flees, runs away. Lost his goose, lost his hat. And they know his name. It's Baker something, Henry Baker, I think. Sherlock says there's just too many Henry Bakers in London. And Watson's sitting there thinking, isn't this kind of a waste of time? Why are we spending so much time with this hat? And who cares about this goose? And it shows just how curious Sherlock is. It doesn't have to be some great big spectacular murder mystery. And it does go along with his philosophy of the trivialities really matter. So, of course, the story takes a turn, and they decide to cook the goose. They're going to cook the goose. It's Christmas time. They don't know what to do with the hat, and they don't want to waste the goose. And somebody comes in. I can't remember, but someone comes in holding a blue carbuncle. And it's this big, famous, blue-tinted diamond that was inside the guts of the goose. Because this kind of stuff happens to Sherlock all the time. Yeah. You find a hat on the street, or someone gives you a hat and a goose, and it's going to have this priceless, rare gem. Sherlock, of course, already knew about it because it was in the papers, and it was like a princess's gem that was reportedly stolen, and there's a person that has been caught and is in jail serving time, or is potentially going to be serving time because he's on trial for this gem. And so now we're on the hunt, and it's Sherlock and Watson running around town looking for the source of the goose. Where did the goose come from? They put in an ad. Sherlock puts an ad in all the papers, and the guy who had the hat and goose shows up at his doorstep. Matches the description. The one thing is, Sherlock said that this guy, this goose-hatted man, was an intellectual. And Watson says, how could you possibly know he's intellectual? And Sherlock says, the size of his head. Sherlock puts the hat on, and the brim still has a gap all the way around it. And so Sherlock's saying he has a large skull, which would contain a large brain. So it's that crackpot scientific theory about phrenology and looking at someone's skull and figuring things out. If it's not that, it's as close as you could get. That a large-headed man would be very intelligent. But anyway, so the guy shows up. He's grateful to have his hat back, and Sherlock says, "We ate the goose." And the guy goes, "What? You ate my goose?" Well, we didn't want it to go to waste, but we got you another goose. And the guy's pleased. He goes, "Okay, all right, that's great. Thanks for the hat, thanks for the goose." Off he goes. Sherlock says, this guy doesn't have a clue. And so they're on the hunt for where he got the goose. They go to a hotel, then they have to go somewhere else, asking people about geese. They finally get to this guy, who's immediately irritated that Sherlock is there asking about the goose. He goes, "What's it to you?" And we learn other people have been there, prying around, asking about where he got the geese. Sherlock gets it out of him, and we see a rat-faced character prowling around the proprietor's shop or establishment. And Sherlock goes over to this guy and goes, I've got you all figured out. They go back to the apartment, and it's this guy that initially stole the blue carbuncle, and he knew that there was police officers all around. It was very tense and heated. He wanted to somehow ingeniously hide this gem, this piece of incredibly damning evidence. And he's at his sister's house, who has a geese farm, and the sister says, you can have one of the geese for Christmas. And the guy goes, "I got it." And he goes out and gets one of the geese, and he shoves the gem down the goose's throat. This is brilliant. Well, we're gonna slaughter the goose. I'm gonna take it home. Who's ever gonna suspect a goose? Gets home, carves the thing up, and of course, the gem's gone. This idiot took the wrong goose, and so now there's a goose on this geese farm that has this priceless gem. He goes back. He goes, where are the geese? The sister goes, well, we sold them. They're all gone. Runs over to someone else. We just sold you all these geese. Where are the geese? The guy goes, well, I actually already sold them all too. And at his wit's end, this idiot, stupidest idea, finds himself in Sherlock's apartment. Sherlock figured out this whole crazy story. Pulls out the gem, shows it to him. The guy, he did find the gem, but he's also been caught. I loved it. It was much more lighthearted. It felt like it had more comedic aspects to it. Just the silliness of the plot, and a little bit of silliness, and spending so much time just carefully examining a hat. As the reader, the story starts with us just hearing a very detailed description of a plain, everyday, as average as can be, black felt hat. And it's great. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is just such a great writer. Such a fun, page-turning writer. And going back to them, especially reading them in quick succession, has made it more clear than ever. I've always loved these stories, but each one, I go, well, this one was great. Now this one was great. So yeah, The Blue Carbuncle by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. If you've read it, please let me know. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like, and take care.